started to discuss about this topic, there was a question mark at the end of the sentence because we weren't sure, and we would like to test with the market whether user of electric cars, for a number of reasons I will discuss a bit later, can be also a key target market for intermodal transport. So the idea was basically to verify. Now there is no question mark at the end, so you can see that we confirm, or at least we think that is a good assumption. So I will briefly look at this concept, then what the market says, what we know about market evidence, what are the enablers and the obstacles for creating a true intermodal transport chain based on electric mobility, and summarize some conclusions. So there are some characteristics of electric car users that make them ideally a potential target for, let's say, in general, sustainable mobility. First, they like eco-friendly mobility solution. Some research say that owners of electric cars are of three types. There are the technology enthusiasts, the sustainable mobility-oriented people, and the urban individualist. But the second category tends to be bigger and bigger due to the generational evolution. Recharging e-cars requires longer stops. We discuss a lot with colleagues in the energy sector about fast charging. So charging that you can do in 15, 20 minutes, half an hour. But the reality is the largest part of the infrastructure is and will be represented by charger that requires several hours to fully charge a battery. So at some point you have to stop your car and let it charge. And not everybody of us has the chance to have the infrastructure at home or in the place of work. And finally, there is the development of park and ride areas, potentially an ideal location to locate some recharging spots. So this is the basic concept, and then we tested a bit the market, first at Italian level. This was done in 2022, so all the data are after COVID. And we discovered that 30% almost of e-car owners, when they let their cars charged in a public recharging point, continue the trips with another mode of transport. So that they don't stay there to pick a coffee or to wait or to make shopping, but they reach their final destination using another mode of transport. And a significant share of them, 48% of the 30%, use public transport, and many others use shared mobility solutions. So overall, about 3 out of 4 of such users do continue the trip to public transport. That means of the 30%, 22% of the total. So it's a significant share of e-car users. And we retested this at the global level this year with the e-readiness study. If you are interested, it's available, everybody knows it almost, but it's available on our website. So we tested how this, in general, the mobility behavior of e-car owners compared to the rest of the groups. In the e-readiness study, we have 3 clusters versus electric mobility versus electric cars: the owners, the prospect, and the skeptics. And you see that commuters, when they commute, the e-car owners tend to adopt more multimodal solution than the other categories. So you see that they are a group of people that have a wider vision of mobility, and they combine mode of transport to, let's say, decide to reach their final destination, compared to prospect and skeptics. And this is even higher in the case of free time movements. So when you have, when you need to reach your gym or a shopping center, another leisure activity place, you don't know in many cases, or you have less established mobility pattern. and you tend to have higher needs to combine mode of transport to reach the destination. So in 63% of them, use car in combination of other means. So even higher share than the one we see in 2022. And these are global figures. So that is done, you read in a study, is done in 18 countries around the world. So the market seems to confirm this assumption. We also have a roundtable with operators in September in Milan discussing this, and they told us three things. The mobility is more and more demand-driven. Mobility, because of the historic trend of the dominance of automotive, was supply-driven for quite a lot of time. But now, especially for the new generation, the user of new mobility solution is much more driven by demand needs. And because of that, the potential we see from demand has to be developed. Second element, they told us, digital is not enough to combine mode of transport. We need good physical connection. And the third one, mobility management, therefore embedding this solution in the mobility platform the companies provide to employees to facilitate the organization of the trips can be a good, let's say, enabler of this, can trigger this, can accelerate this. Mobility management, I'm not discussing in detail about this today, but is in general a key way to accelerate changes in mobility, because a B2B solution can reach a wider set of people faster than the others. So what are the enablers and the obstacle of this? Of course, there are, as I say, the market confirmed that there is a potential, but it's absolutely necessary to have well-adapted park and ride facilities. What does it mean? They should be equipped with a significant number of recharging points. 10 recharging points is not enough. You can't do intermodality for 10 people. So it's totally insufficient. And well located. So they should be located on the most important transport axis, and they should have a good number of slots for shared mobility solutions, of electric cars, electric scooters, and so on. It is important to remind that having this significant number of electric cars parked there for many, many hours allow optimization of recharging from the energy provider. So this is also good business case for the CTOs. And then we have also to consider the location in terms of where there is a higher share of electric cars. So take into account the mobility policy and the mobility market evolution in the area when deciding where to locate the park and ride facilities. I already mentioned B2C and B2B offer should be integrated, so you cannot develop this by selling separately the charging from the final mode of transport you use to reach the destination and the parking. So you have at least three elements that should be, let's say, market and sold out together. And this is typically a case for mobility as a service solution through platform, but also, as I say, through mobility management platform. And in particular, trigger if you adopt a mobility budget solution. So instead of having a car benefit, you provide to the employees a certain budget they can spend on several mobility solutions. Survey says that 30 to 40 people are already willing to replace their car benefit with a mobility budget. So there's a huge potential there. And the last enablers, of course, the business model, because it should be a win-win solution. So parking managers, because they are responsible of managing the equipment and to allocate a significant number of slots to electric cars, they should define appropriate pricing for that. Some of them are already thinking to become directly the provider of the energy. Some others are teaming up with energy companies, but they have to take into consideration the fact that will electric cars utilization of the parking will ensure stable and longer occupancy of parks. So a good, a higher and better utilization rate. The MSPs that are selling the recharging and the CTOs that are acting as MSPs, so the mobility service provider in their position of sellers of energy, as I say, they can take advantage of the optimization of energy consumption and also the fact that they have a stable customer base, because is bound to the fact that they are buying together parking, charging, and transport. And the public transport and shared mobility operators, because they can have additional demand, quite predictable, because it's always board and onboard in the same location, and they can tailor solution and improve frequency depending on how much this intermodality will develop. But of course, there are also obstacles. I will mention in particular two: the limited number of recharging facilities at park and ride, due to the fact that there are not enough park and ride areas, and in the parking areas, there are not enough recharging points. This is pretty straightforward. If there is an uncertainty of availability of the parking, I'm not sure that I can park, I'm not sure that I can recharge there, all the concept is gone. I cannot consider this mobility solution as stable and certain, and I tend to continue my trip by car instead of making the intermodal trip. So this is a big area required planning. I will come back on that. And then also the unsuitable physical interconnection. Operator told us digital is not enough to put together mobility solution. You need to have a good physical interconnection. Walking paths should be well signed, should be safer, the lighting should be good, because women, aged people, everybody should feel safe in parking, let the car there, reach the transit, and the way back in the evening. And this is often neglected. So you have parking, you have recharging points, maybe several hundred meters away is the underground or the tramway station. The walking path is unsafe, and therefore this is not stimulating people to use this solution. Coming to the end, the conclusion is that yes, we think there is a market for that, because we have in electric mobility there is a certain share of owners that are eco-aware, so they like to use sustainable mode of transport, and also because their experience, they have to let their car several hours parked, trigger the possibility to use other modes of transport meanwhile. So and they are already using more multimodal solution. The data showed us that 50 to 60% of the e-car owners already use a combination of mode of transport. So we need park and ride facilities, we need integrated offers, we need good business model. The areas, the asset, the parking assets should be adapted, and these of course require specific action plan to be embedded in sustainable mobility plans. Sometimes sustainable mobility plans address electric mobility just in terms of the market trend, how many electric cars will be in the fleet, and the number of recharging points. We do think that this should be looked also from an intermodality perspective in order to use this potential the market have shown. And we are confident, we know, discussing, for instance, with parking operators, that this concept is also becoming material. Probably new concession of parking would embed this as a requirement. So that was what I liked to discuss with you, and of course, if you have any question, I'm available.
Thank you very much, Paolo. My mic on? It is. Thank you very much, Paolo. Very insightful. Are there any questions from the audience? Maybe while
Frederick.
So one question about the service you did. So It's a global survey. Do we see much difference according to countries, maybe the continents?
Yeah, of course. There are differences by country. We have this data. The readiness study is quite recent, so we are still elaborating them. It's clearly, I mentioned before in one point a couple of things. Maybe I was a bit fast in stating that. So the two elements that are differentiating are the share of electric cars, because if the market is mature, you have people that have electric cars in several years and are already using it as the normal mobility experience they have every day. So the share of the fleet and the quality of public transport. That very often goes together with the quality of park and ride areas. In Italy, for instance, we have very few parking ride areas. In some UK or French or German cities, there are already hundreds of parking slots in park and ride areas. Not well equipped for recharging, but at least there is the point where the intermodality can be developed.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any other questions? No? Yes? No? No? Okay. Okay.
Last one.
Who should be, in your opinion, the main actor behind this? I mean, taking the role. I mean, you mentioned, of course, the owner, the parking owners, but in general, I mean, you would expect, I don't know, the public transport operator rather than the parking operator to be the main actor in this, in enabling this kind of integrated point of view.
Is a business model consideration. For me, the added value in the short term is higher for public transport operator, because for parking, they can consider that is a marginal effect. The number of additional users with the present fleet in the future will be different. So in the short term, I would like to see, and I expect to see much higher involvement of public transport operator, because they have the higher added value in terms of additional market. We know that energy companies are the most interest. So now the dynamic is more triggered by them, because they are eagerly looking for places where to install new recharging points.